that. So Sheikh Ahmad highlighted some points. Number one, and these points are not verbatim. I sort of edited them and made them more. Some of them I give them more depth. Some of them I just summarize them. So the first thing is that the first thing he mentioned is ta'zizul yakin bi usul al-Islam, to make people certain in their aqidah, in their faith, that Islam is the truth. For people to attain certainty in their faith, so much certainty that nothing that it's like you're wearing it's like somebody wearing a waterproof vest or a raincoat. As the rain drops on you, it just goes away. So you're like wearing a shubuhat proof. So under this also, he now mentions steps to achieve this. The first one, which a lot of parents are lacking, is at-tarbiyah al-islamiyya as-sahiha. Giving our children sound Islamic education. We are having problems with this. In the past, we find our fathers, when Western education came into Nigeria, and then, I mean, this is not something that is debatable. Western education was used to Christianize a lot of people. People were Muslims. Before you go to school, you have to change your name, become Christian. I have people that they went to school in a place like Kwara State, Ilorin, where it's supposed to be a Muslim environment. And then if you're a student, you are coming to school, you have to kneel in the front of the statue of Mary, make the sign of the crucifix before you even are allowed to enter classes. So the Western education was brought in to Christianize Muslims. So our fathers or our forefathers then saw that, okay, instead of my children to go to these schools and become kuffar, rather they should become illiterate. And this is one of the reasons why in a place like the Southwest, where a lot of people are educated, you find out that a lot of people, the percentage of Muslims who are illiterate is far more than the percentage of Christians, because of course they're using it to Christianize us. So those fathers said, no, we will not allow children. I know somebody who the father was only pleased with him when he realized that, okay, his Islam was maintained even when he was in school. So thanks to people like Dr. Abdulateef Adegbite, may Allah SWT continue to bless him may Allah SWT bless him and put him in Al-Jannah for his efforts in establishing a Muslim student society on Nigerian campuses. So people could go to school and then they could still maintain their Islam in schools. So there was these people that actually laid down the framework for what a lot of us came to enjoy later on. So these people, where I was going to is this. These fathers, even with the fact that they were not as educated as we were, they had this very high love, this zeal of Islam. Look at the books that were available at that time. I mean, the highest book you could find available was probably Matnu Risala of Ibn Abu Zayd al-Kirawani. A lot of our forefathers then did not read beyond Fawaki Usakata. Some of them did not read beyond Ad-Durus al-Awaliyah. But the little faith they had, they were zealous about it and said, no, we will not allow our children to become kuffar after Allah accepting us Muslims. But reverse is the case now. And I mentioned this when I talk about Islamic education. I was once walking past a street very close to my house then. As I was walking past, then I was working in a school. They were paying per term in that school, then a Muslim school, they were paying 250,000 naira per term. 250,000 naira per term. And I was walking past the streets, and a mother was telling the child, she said, in Yoruba, she said, "Ta fa yin ba ti ni ke lo mu 15 naira wa. Ma bonle, they want to like you, would you?" Said, if your ustaz says that you go and make 50 naira, that you go, don't listen to it, come back home. They like money. And I was shocked. People used to mention it, but I felt that this is how much a 50 naira do. Probably it probably would not even buy bread then. So it's like the reverse. We spend so much on Western education, on secular education. We want our kids to speak English as if they are from the UK or the United States. And what we spend for Islam is so little. And even when we want to talk about Islamic education, what we believe in Islamic education is for them to go to madrasa and learn how to read Alif Ba Ta Ta, learn how to read the Quran. If you call a kafir and you teach the kafir, if you see a ba with something on top of it, call it ba, that's ba. You see something like jinn, and that's a kasra, call it jinn. The kafir will read the Quran. Reading the Quran is not the same thing. It's not tantamount to saying I'm an understanding of the deen. So we need to have a holistic re-evaluation of our Islamic education. As a situation whereby you take, okay, I send them to a Muslim school, whereby they give, even all these Muslim schools, they need to reevaluate themselves. The Arabic teacher would only have probably one period in a week, and then they write Arabic, English, French speaking, which is a lie. Which Arabic will they speak? Our kids learn English from primary 1, primary 6, from JS1 to SS3, and they fail English language. If you look at our timetable, you have huge chunks of time allocated to English and mathematics, and they still fail. What do you allocate for Arabic? No, nothing. What about Islamic studies? No, just go there, Islamic 5 pillars, praying, dry. It doesn't touch the heart of those kids. They just listen to it, and then so it's very possible to find somebody who even went. I've actually heard of this. I've heard of this. This individual finished from Markaz and became Christian. Finished from Markaz, and I'm not saying it. I'm just giving an example. And he met somebody who did not go to Markaz. The person, when he reads the Quran, is with effort. So they were where they were working, because he could speak Arabic. He was bamboozling people. Then this man came around and said, "What are you talking about?" And this man, unfortunately for him, had stayed with Abdul Latif Adibu Williams, the late comparative man. So it was this person that was able to confront him and say, "What are you talking about?" So because the Islamic knowledge is dry and shallow, it will produce half-baked Muslims who, with the smallest of doubts and smallest of shubuhat, they will knock them off. So I don't want to delve too much on that. So we need to give ourselves and our children sound Islamic education so that they will appreciate the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we say the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sign in Arabic means ayah. And ayah, a sign can be physical, it can be what? It can also be the verse of the Quran. So we have those physical signs of Allah, looking at the heavens and thinking about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them. Even our own bodies, the way our body works, looking at them and seeing that, oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually exists and is a being with great power. And we can also contemplate on the verse of the Quran. Allah says about his al-ayat al-kawniyya, those physical signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we can find around us. Allah says, الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا. And of course, at times, certain scholars, the only time they remember this is when they want to collect money from people. You go to occasions and they say, stand up, let's do adhkar. This verse is not even talking about standing up and doing adhkar. It's talking about the fact that people who are believers are always constantly remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. Those who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether they are standing, sitting, or even they are lying down. Allah says, وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And they sit down and think about the creations of the heavens and the earth. And they will say, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ. And say, oh Allah, you did not create these batilan. You did not create these in jest or in falsehood. Glorified are you. Because there's no way you sit down and look at the way Allah SWT has created the heavens and the earth without being afflicted by prior shubha, that you will not realize the enormity of the creator of the heavens and the earth. Allah says, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ. سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا. We will show them their signs fil afaq. On the earth, in the heavens and the earth, we show them their signs. وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. And even in their selves, we show them. حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ. Until it's clear to them that this is the truth. So I give an example. This happened to me personally. I have a background in chemistry. And in the very first years, we did the cell biology. And our lecturer was talking about meiosis. That is our cell division to create sex cells. So I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into that. So as he was explaining what happens in the cell, how the chromosomes get attenuated, how they divide and stuff like that. What will strike your mind? I mean, there's no way. It's what strikes your mind is just that, no, this thing did not happen by chance. Somebody must have created this. And then this verse backs it up. Wafi anfusihim. In their self. Professionals in the field, when they see the way our body works, would realize that this has been created by somebody. So we're supposed to sit down and think about these things. But unfortunately, even thinking about this is becoming affected by our contemporary world. I give another example. If you look at the night sky in Lagos, and the stars are so scanty. Night sky in Lagos. It's not awe-inspiring. It doesn't really take you up for you to gaze at the heavens and look at and how beautiful it is. But when you go to villages where you don't have a light, when you have this light all around, and you gaze at the heavens, you are awed. You see how massive the stars are, how plentiful they are. So, and I think even the Sheikh mentioned that that modern life may not allow us to look at us because children now, kids now are busy looking down at their phones. They're not even looking at the heavens. The Allah says, وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ بِخَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Now they're looking at their phones, and they were created by Apple or by Samsung. So also the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to connect people, the argument that the Quran pushes forward when it comes to the creation of the heavens and the earth, when it comes to resurrection, when it comes, Allah addresses, I mean, the Quran is filled with addresses of a lot of these shubuhat. When we address people who believe that there is no God, we believe that who are atheists, and the Quran has, though the Quran presupposes the existence of God, that naturally human beings are programmed. We call it the fitrah, not really a program. The way we are, if an average human being is given birth to, and this person is not afflicted with shubuhat, this person would naturally be guided to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is called fitrah. Allah says, fitrat Allahi allati fatara an-nasa alayha. And then the Messenger of Allah said, ma min mawludin illa wa yulad al-fitra. Kullu mawludin yuladu ala al-fitra. Everybody that's given birth to is given birth to on this fitra. So amma abawahu, but the parents make him فَيُهَوِدَانَهُ أَوْ يُنَصِّرَانَهُ أَوْ يُمَجِّسَانَهُ, or the parents make him a Jew, a Christian, or a fire worshipper. Naturally, we are created to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then to worship him. So you find verses of the Quran addressing some of the shubuhat, that if somebody believes that there's no God, you ask him, where did he feel he comes from? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses people in Surah At-Tur, said, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ. Were they created from nothing? And we know, of course, rationally, nothing comes from nothing. Nothing has no potentiality. It is nothing. You didn't create yourself. Am khuliqu min ghayri shay'in am humul khaliqun. Or did they create themselves? These are rational arguments you find in the Quran in itself. But of course, this also needs people who would explain this to individuals. It needs people who are good with tafsir, who would explain, because of course, Arabic is not our first language, it's not our mother tongue. And we need people who would explicate this for us. So also, when we talk about Tarbiyah Islamiyah, that will motivate people to think about the creation of the world and then to also do tafakkur of the Quran. We talk about books, Islamic books, written also in this regard. Some of them very old, like Dala'il Nubuwah of Al-Bayhaqi, Dala'il Nubuwah of this other author who is Mu'tazili. Books written to rationally defend Islam and the prophethood of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, but oftentimes we are busy with buying academic books for our kids. They read books that are of no spiritual benefit to a lot of them. How many of our kids have read books like the Fundamentals of Tawheed, like of Dr. Bilal? It's in English. How many of us have even read it as parents ourselves? It's rather you find with our children the diary of a wimpy kid, Famous Five, Nancy Drew, and books like that. But we don't buy books that would actually make them think, appreciate their Islamic heritage. How many of our kids do we find watching Islamic programs? Rather, they watch terrible Indian soap operas, Mexican ones, and stuff like that. That it has no value at all. May Allah continue to guide and protect us. So also, how many of our kids do we expose to dawah? How many of our kids do we expose to dawah? For some of us, the reason why we became religiously committed is because we listened to a lecture here, a lecture there, and then we appreciated our Islam and decided to be more committed. This experience that we had, our children are not having same experiences. Some of our children are going to schools that you don't have Muslims students being represented. Some of our children are going to schools that ordinarily they're not even allowed to actually display their Islam. And if we have a child that the only identity of him or her being a Muslim is because my parents are Muslim, then this child would, of course, ultimately lose that Islam. So if I'm Muslim, I have witnessed it. Why did you become Muslim? I slept and the masquerade was chasing me. And I said in the name of Muhammad. The masquerade did not come back. And then I said in the name of Jesus. The masquerade now disappeared. And then I became Christian. You find, I had a friend who became Christian because of this. But rather, but for him, rather, he was bringing this up. He said he had a dream, and then he saw that just because of the way, and so, but there's a background to him. He was having issues with the family, and then the one of the parents was Christian, and the parent was able to draw him to our side. So you find problems like this where Muslims are nominally Muslims. The only reason they remain Muslims is because their parents were Muslim. Even amongst people who are religiously practicing, even among people who are du'at, who are callers, who call people to Islam, in their own homes, it's like candles who is giving light to people, but its own base is in darkness. So when people say you can read the Quran, no, reading the Quran does not translate into having an understanding of what the Quran is talking about or what the Sunnah is talking about. So quality Islamic education, as I mentioned earlier, get them books, expose them to da'wah. So when we're going to programs, let us take our kids there. Some of the things you feel that they don't understand, they understand far more than you. I remembered quite about more than 10 years ago, I was teaching some kids, and I wanted to teach them the hadith of Nu'man bin Bashir, where he was saying that he was saying that when I forgot the beginning of the hadith. The hadith of Nu'man bin Bashir was saying that the embryo stays in the womb of the mother 40 يوما علقة ثم يكون مرغة مثل ذلك ثم يكون علقة ثم يكون علقة مثل ذلك ثم يكون مضغة مثل ذلك ثم فيرسل إليه ملك إلى آخر الحديث. So because it had something to do with reproduction, I was a bit laid back. So I paused and I asked them. I was teaching two of them. One was 9, one was 10. I said, okay, have you done reproduction? And said, yes, they've done it in school. It's okay, tell me what you've learned in school. And I realized I was being the one who's a prude. They know far better than what I was explaining. So I had no inhibition. At times, what you assume your children don't know, they know far better. So we should expose them to da'wah. Let them come around. It will stay with them, whatever they learn. And at least they will know that, okay, when I have doubts about my faith, these are the people I consult. So also, we should expose them to the stories of those who are Muslims. Sheikh Ahmed Said talked about the fact that new Muslims, yes, new Muslims, celebrities who become Muslims, like what's the name of this rapper? Forgot his name. So it entices people to say, "Oh, this person has become Muslim." Yeah, but at the same time, we even have people who, let them read the story of the Prophet ﷺ. A lot of our youths have not read the story of the Prophet ﷺ from beginning to the end. Buy books. These books are in English. I read the Muhammad Rasulullah from An-Nadawi, and it's a very good book. Give them stories of people like Musa ibn Umair, how he became Muslim and how he was and how he sacrificed so much for Islam. Give them books of this nature. So also we should make sure that we focus on the arts of when we do dawah, we focus on the arts. When our arts are sound, when Iman is very sound in our art, no shubha, no doubt will penetrate it. And an example are the magicians of Pharaoh, of Fir'aun. When Musa dropped his own rod and he swallowed their own rod and then they became Muslim, Fir'aun was annoyed. And Zaru told you, it means that Musa taught you magic and I'm going to kill you, crucify you and things like that. What did they say? They said, do whatever you want to do. إنما تقضي هذه الحياة الدنيا اقضي ما أنت قادٍ. Do whatever you want to do. You can only judge this one because they realized that Musa was coming from a very high spiritual level. And there's also a story in Sahih Bukhari where Heraclius, the emperor of Rome, had a discussion with Abu Sufyan, and then he asked Abu Sufyan, he said, people who become Muslim, do they leave Islam angrily? And Abu Sufyan said, no. When they enter into Islam, they don't leave Islam. And Heraclius said that is how Iman works. When Iman has mixed with the hearts of people, people will never leave the faith. So if our Iman is strong in our heart, we will never find it easy to drop off. May Allah SWT give us a firm understanding of the deen. So also, we need to empower Muslims to think critically. Critical thinking skills. Al-Aqlu an-Nakid, that is the Arabic word. So much so that we don't accept any claim except it has evidence. So there was a video of a man that went viral, one Mario Joseph or whatever his name is, and he was using argument like he said because Jesus Christ was mentioned more times in the Quran than Muhammad, and argument of that nature. And I had the Muslim was worried. Muslim individual said, please, is there a response to this? Unfortunately, but I responded to it. A very silly argument. Said that Jesus Christ was mentioned more in the Quran than Muhammad. It means that Jesus Christ is more has is more recognition than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so the response was, what about Musa? Musa is more mentioned than Jesus Christ, more mentioned than Muhammad. Should we all become Jews? And the argument fell apart. So may Allah assist us. So Muslims need to imbibe critical thinking so that these things that are weak shubuhat will not be a problem for us. So also, when we have critical thinking, we will not take evidences that are worthless evidences. This also, apart from Christianity, it also applies in our daily lives. Somebody has a problem and it says that, okay, I've gone to my problems will not have a solution. Let me go to the church or let me go to the Babalawo. Ordinarily, if one sat down and thought, you don't even need evidence. If the pastor in that church found things easy, he will not be sitting in that church listening to you, waiting for you to bring your problem. It is because of poverty. That is why he had the church and he's telling people to come with their problem. He collects money from you. You don't even need evidence for that. You don't need to and you find a lot of these Muslims in white garment churches, Elijah and stuff like this. What brought you here? I had problem. The pastor also had problem. So if people had critical thinking, they'll be able to realize this. You see Muslims, they buy cars and then they put some of them put tortoise in their car so that the car will not have accident. Some Muslims would do what we call Begudi, that will protect them from death. It's irrational. If you imbibe critical thinking in people, some of these people will not even have any impact on them. Because how can you say you want to protect yourself from death when the best of mankind died? Have you seen somebody who lived forever? These are the things that take me away. I'm having problems. I'm having financial issues. I'm looking for a child. The pastor, I don't want to die. Go to the mortuary. You find both Muslims and Christians there. That kills everybody. It doesn't make a distinction. May Allah assist us. So also, when they bring illogical things, it will be easy for us with critical thinking to nullify them. I once listened to an atheist in a debate, Peter Atkins. Peter Atkins is a distinguished chemist. And then you realize that when you lose faith, you lose intelligence. He was saying that when he was confronted that, look, we exist, and then you must explain where our existence came from. Peter Atkins said that in the universe we have positive energy and we have negative energy. So he said the negative energy and the positive energy, if you add them together, if you mix them together, you have zero. He said, so it means that we are not existing. What type of stupidity is that? I mean, it doesn't make sense. The fact that we have positive energy and negative energy doesn't mean that I'm not existing. Doesn't mean that I'm not. I found myself like, I mean, with this stupid argument, he's even denying his own existence. And you find stupid arguments like this on the internet, and some people consume this thing and it becomes a problem for them. May Allah assist us. So also, and that is why Muslims have two disciplines. One, Ilm al-Mustalah al-Hadith. The Muslims independently develop this field so that any information you are bringing to them will be carefully sifted. It will be sieved. And so Ilm al-Hadith is about knowing those who are liars, who is actually saying what Messenger of Allah has not said. And if we apply this, especially in Nigeria, it will not only save our religious life, but even it will save us from committing a lot of problems. In Nigeria, you hear that they burnt somebody alive in Oshodi, an old woman. And so what did the old woman do? So she was a bed, and then she eats an electric cable, and then turned to you. It's happened in Oshodi. I heard, and it happened also somewhere around them, and they burnt the person to death, and because the bed changed to human being. And when you start asking them, as per the principles of Hadith, did you witness it? Say, no, somebody told me. Did you witness it? No, somebody told me. So as far as Hadith is concerned, if you're not an eyewitness, you cannot tell us those people who told you, then the Hadith is weak. So when did some say it became a black bed, a white bed? And then if you have contradictory narrations of a particular event, it means the Hadith is weak. So in Lagos, they shout thief on somebody who was not there. He can bring out his own spare tire in his car and give it to them to roast that person. I witnessed one in a position when kidnapping was in Lagos. They beat a man naked into the police station, and then they said he was a kidnapper. And then the policeman said, "Where the pikin? Where is the child he wants to kidnap?" They couldn't provide it. And police, of course, they just closed the door. Everybody that beat the man inside, they arrested them. So, may Allah assist us. These are we need to have this critical thinking fuse. Hatta la nakbal da'awa illa bid-dalil. So, we will not accept any claim except with evidence. Wala nakbal al-adilla al-fasida. We will not accept bogus evidences. Wala tumarrar alayna al-mughalatat al-mantiqiyya. And we have the other discipline, ilm adab al-bath wal-manazara, so that we will be able to criticize people when people bring false arguments. Like during the apostasy issue of a person in Kano, and I got invited to an online platform. And then when I got there, I said, why should apostasy, the death penalty for apostasy is barbaric, is wrong? And I asked them, and one of the things I told them was, number one, if you are going to appeal to emotions, we will not be able to move ahead because you cannot win emotional argument. But let us trash these things logically. Why is death penalty for apostasy wrong? And I cited verses of the Bible that back up the claim that apostates should also be killed. And you see that the argument would collapse. Ask them why. Ask them why. When someone says a rule is barbaric, so why is it barbaric? What determines what is right and what is wrong? Is it your emotion? Is it your subjective feeling? You realize that a lot of people are not do not critically think before they criticize Islam. So also Sheikh mentioned that one should be grounded as far as Islamic sciences are concerned. And even if you are not Islamically grounded, then you should know people to ask. Some people are like motivational speakers, Islamic motivational speakers. You don't go and ask them issues that has to do with highly sensitive issues of Aqidah or highly sensitive issues of, I mean, somebody who just wants to motivate you, wants to make you laugh or something like that, and then you have a critical issue to ask and you ask this person, chances are he will not know. And his response at times will be worse than even the problem you are coming with. So one should be able to recognize, if you are not grounded yourself, one should be able to recognize those who are qualified to respond to this shubuhat. My battery is low. So also we need to understand that the person who is bringing shubuhat, where are they coming from? Take for instance, if I was discussing with somebody who's an atheist, and this atheist is saying that convince me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. An atheist does not believe there is anything beyond the supernatural. For the atheist, everything must be within what is what we call physicalism. Everything is physical. They do not allow for something to exist metaphysically. So if you argue with them, and then some of them would not even accept rational evidences from you. So it's like you are pouring water into a basket. You need to understand where this individual is coming from. Or if you are arguing with somebody who believes that human beings should be the center of morality, that nothing should be good or bad except what the individual freely feels he or she ought to do. So argue with this person, sensitive issues like issues of apostasy, issues of hudud, you will not make headway because this individual does not believe in the same principles that you believe in. So it's advised that we understand that if I was somebody, we need to have an agreement. What are the masadir talaq ma'rifa? In philosophy, this is called epistemology. How do we come to know things? How do we come to know that things exist, and so on and so forth? So, and then you find people. This from a preacher in the US. A young man was having problems with his faith, and then what was the problem? The person was saying that the Quran preaches that the earth is flat, and we know from geology, from geography, and astronomy that the earth is round. And he said, look, these are some of the problems that people have. This is not. I mean, Ibn Hazmi, Ibn Taymiyyah said that as far as Islam is concerned, we never had this belief that the earth is flat. Rather, we've had this belief that the earth is round. So at times people would be having problems with stuff that they're not supposed to have problems with initially. So we have this universal law or the modified universal law of Ibn Taymiyyah. What is categorically known of the intellect? What is known? I'm not talking about scientific hypothesis. I'm talking about something that is a fact, a physical fact. Cannot clash with something, cannot clash with a verse of the Quran or a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that is authentic and categorical. You cannot have what is qat'iyu thubut or qat'iyu dalala of the text, a text that is categorical in its meaning, categorical in its authenticity, clash with an established scientific fact. It's either that thing is not a scientific fact ab initio, like the theory of evolution. Adam was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He did not have parents. This is categorical. It is qat'i, thubut qat'i dilala. You find this in the Quran. If somebody says that Adam came through a process of evolution, we will reject that hypothesis. We reject the theory that look, it's not this incorrect as far as we are concerned. Sorry, please. I just want to adjust my source of power. Okay. Sorry, please. My battery is low, and we just want to adjust the.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please stay with us, remain with us as our guest lecturer adjusts a system. It's got a low battery and that is being attended at the moment. We'll be back to you in a minute, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tafadhal.
I think, yeah, now. So I was talking about the modified universal law that you cannot, it seems to be, you cannot find a scientific fact. I'm not talking about scientific theory. A scientific fact that clashes with a categorical verse of the Quran, the Hadith. And I'll give an example. Before the Big Bang theory of the existence of the beginning of the universe, there was a theory called the steady state theory, that the universe had no beginning, had no end. Bertrand Russell said the universe is all there is and all there will be, and all there will be. So, and that's why even brothers who go around with science in the Holy Quran that look, do not tie scientific theories that are subject to change to verses of the Quran that are categorical, because the scientific theory may change tomorrow. And this is the nature of the sciences. There was a time that when you ask them what was responsible for combustion, they would tell you phlogiston or phlogiston or something like that, before it became oxygen. So we don't tie scientific theories that are not facts to verses of the Quran. So if somebody had said that, okay, the universe had no beginning, okay, let's find a way of forcing the Quran to talk about that. Or like some are trying to do now, forcing the Quran to speak about evolution, like one of these authors, Maurice Bucaille, did in a book that I think Human Origins or so, where he was forcing the verse of the Quran, like that the Quran was talking about evolution. This is false. The evolution can be changed tomorrow. In fact, we are having people who are challenging the theory of evolution within the scientific establishment in itself. They are not saying that it should be jettisoned totally, but they are saying that it should be modified. So we do not. When people come around and they have a problem with Islam because they find this particular scientific theory not accommodating. They find Islam not accommodating a particular theory. Is the theory you question, not Islam, because science is always in a state of flux, it's always changing. The theory today may be jettisoned tomorrow. Till today, if the fact that gravity works, there is no established theory of the force of gravity. Is gravity because of does gravity occur because an indent in space? because planets and stars are massive bodies that cause a dead space-time and will drag smaller bodies to themselves? Is it why there's gravity, or is there a force of gravity that we can a quantum theory of gravity? These are things that are not determined by the sciences themselves. So one does not go ahead and now start forcing the neck of the verse of the Quran to agree with theories that can change tomorrow. May Allah give us a firm understanding of the day. Number 5. I don't know how much time I have, so I'm just still talking about the first one so that I can speedily go through this. Number 5, we do not expose ourselves to shubuhat. Some people have this problem. I mean, if you are not grounded, if you do not have that researching skill to answer questions that come your way, why would you go to Christian websites that are attacking Islam? What do you want to go and do there? Or some people go to atheist website and consume this material that are spiritually damaging, and they don't have an answer for it. Then they come out and ask you that, I read something that the Israeli prophet did this, prophet did that, and so on and so forth. Why should you go? I mean, you find in the books of the pious predecessors, the Salaf, where they will tell you that don't listen to a heretic. Because if you listen to a particular expression of one of them, Al-Dhahabi, he said, Al-Qulubu Da'ifa wa Shubuhat Khattafa. So our hearts are weak, and shubuhat, doubts are very, very fast to get our hearts. So why should you go ahead and listen to people that you know that are abandoning shubuhat all around? Some will just read a few books, a few books of Ahmadiyya, and then they believe that they have become comparators, Muslim apologists. Even oftentimes, you realize that some of these Muslim apologists do not know sufficiently about the Quran. They know the Bible more than the Quran. And that's one of them had a problem now. He believes that Isa is not coming back, because the Christians in debates, you are always facing him with the father, but the Quran says Isa is coming back. So to put this away from himself, he denied that Isa is coming back. A belief that has been held by this Ummah more than 1,400 years ago. There is no difference of opinion among the companions, among the Tabi'un, among those who follow them, that Isa is coming back. This is what happens when people carry up. You know the Bible, stick to it. When it comes to Islamic knowledge, ask people who are qualified. Some people expose themselves to shubuhat, and at the end of the day, they lose out. Some people go to atheist website. As I said, the world is a global village. They go to atheist website, and then these atheists would bring stupid arguments. So I'll give you another example. The atheist would ask you, if you are not good enough, you say that, you tell that, okay, you guys believe that everything that exists has a creator. You listen to the argument. Everything that exists has a creator. If you are not critically, if you are not sound, you agree with that premise. Immediately you agree with that premise, he has knocked you out. So it's when it tells you that, okay, you guys say that everything that exists has a creator, and say yes. You say, but does Allah exist? What would you say? Yes. Then who created Allah? Because you agree with that premise. You are not supposed to agree with the premise initially. This is not our argument. We do not say everything that exists has a creator. No, that's not the argument. We say everything that has a beginning, everything that is emergent has a creator. Kullu hadith lahu muhdith. Everything that's emergent that has a creator that has a beginning, has a creator. And also the argument you can refer from that I mentioned. Am khuliqu min ghairi shay'in. Nothing cannot create something. Something must have created that thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no creator. And someone might say, okay, why should every other thing have a creator and Allah does not have a creator? This also has been addressed by scholars centuries ago. So they say, look, if you have this analogy that usually comes to me, a football analogy. Let's say we have a player who wants to take a penalty shot. And this player, before he takes, okay, let's say C. Ronaldo, very popular amongst young people. C. Ronaldo wants to take a penalty shot, but before he takes the shot, he has to, the umpire, the referee has to blow the whistle. And then it's only when the umpire blows the whistle that he takes the shot. But there's a snag. This referee cannot blow the whistle until another referee blows the whistle. And then this referee also cannot blow the whistle until another referee blows up like that, till infinity. Endlessly, we must have a referee to blow the whistle before the referee would say that the player should take the shot. Would that penalty shot be taken? No, because the person that will blow the whistle is infinite. It has no end. The whistle will not be blown. Immediately the player kicks the ball, it means that there is a limit to the number of referees. So the same thing, creation has a creator. And if you are saying that the creator also must have another creator, the creator must, up to infinity, there will not be creation. So there is a limit to what we call it causal finitism. I don't want to bog us with the details. This other shubha. A lecturer teaches people philosophy, called philosophy 101 in OAE, if I'm not mistaken. So he comes to class and he asks the people, Muslims and Christians, he asks them, can God create a stone he cannot carry? Shows this. This is a shubha. This is a doubt. It says, can God create a stone he cannot carry? Then you start wondering, because there's no answer you would give that will not put you in problem. You say yes, he can. It means okay, God cannot carry a stone. If you say no, it means that God cannot create everything. But questions of this nature, our scholars have handled them way back. And the response to this is that question in itself is wrong. That question is wrong, because you cannot have a stone that Allah SWT will create and then it will not be able to carry it. He can create anything and he can carry anything. And then when you look at the way this question has been structured, you realize that yes, it has been deliberately set up so as to what? So as make you unable to answer. So that this question itself is where the problem is. Logic, Allah SWT has the power to create everything. However, logical impossibilities are not things. Things that are that are logically incoherent are not things. So I give an example to make it clear to us. If I were to ask you, can you draw a circle? All of us did, yes, of course. I'll just take a pencil and then draw a circle, and that's it. Then I ask you again, can you draw a triangle? Of course you can. I mean, just draw a figure with 3 sides and you are done. But if I were to ask you, can you draw a circle with 3 sides? It will be impossible. But is this because of your inability to draw, or because of the fact that a 3-sided circle does exist? It is because a 3-sided circle does not exist, not because you cannot draw it. So the same thing, a stone that Allah can create and cannot carry does not exist. It is an impossibility. So Ibn Taymiyyah was saying that Allah has power over, and that's what it says. Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Kulli shay'in qadir. Allah has power over everything. But logical impossibilities are not things. Jumping up words together does not mean that those words will exist. So people bring this shubha. If one is not sound enough, you expose yourself to things that will create doubts in your mind. So also, we can read books that scholars have written to refute this shubhat, in as much as these books are well written, and address this shubhat head on. And if for books of this nature, we will not delve into this shubhat, this doubt. We will not delve into them in detail. Rather, we'll just bring them up and address them in detail. So to go into detail of explaining shubhat, you also put people into a lot of problems. So may Allah give us a firm understanding of the deen. So what I've been able to talk about, I have just 10 minutes more, are protections for ourselves before shubhat come. So and the last one on this is that apart from teaching our kids Islamic knowledge, we should also make not only our children, ourselves, we should allow ourselves to practice Islam in societies. Islam is a religion that is not done in isolation. We must be in a group of Muslims. Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'as-sadiqin. Oh, you have faith, believe in Allah, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and be with those who are truthful, be with Muslims. Practicing Islam in isolation is a problem. Whenever our children leave a peer group of people who are Muslims and they relate with people who are non-Muslims, the influence is very great. Somebody will not go astray unless he or she has lost his or her roots. So we should, I mean, it's not necessarily we thought this should be your friend. No, by association, the places we go to, the people we interact with, would put our children in a sort of environment whereby they are in safe hands. Whereby even when shubhat enter into them, they can say that, okay, let us address this thing head on together. So it is essential that we practice Islam as a community, not as individuals. May Allah give us a firm understanding of the deen. And of course, there are two most, especially the segment that talks about what to do after we have been exposed to shubuhat. If the question and answer, if it comes up, I would mention this. But basically, it's patterned along what I've said. Critical thinking. We don't just take what people say. We ask the specialists. I mentioned it also in the earlier one. So also we go through the books. A lot of the shubuhat people bring around now had been answered several. I mean, Islam was the dominant. Just like you have the West dominating us now, Islam was the dominant civilization for a long time, hundreds of years. All the philosophies of the East and the West came into the Islamic world. In fact, some of these philosophies were translated into Arabic and then it got back to the West. All these things have been answered. There is no doubt people have about Islam that has not been answered. I mean, the Quran was read in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ. It was explained by people. It's not a book that was written hundreds of years after the Prophet ﷺ came. Everything has an answer. So also, when people want to selectively quote the Quran and the Sunnah, we always tell them that no, you have to take the Quran and Sunnah together in unison. You cannot cherry pick verses of the Quran, a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and turn it into a shubha. And on this, I would end and take questions if there are any. So you have Christians who will say that the Quran also talks about multiple gods. That you people are saying that Allah is one. What about the Quran? The Quran says, "Inna nahnu nazzalna al-Quran wa inna lahu lahafizun." We reveal the Quran, and we are going to protect it. So look at the pronouns there. They are plural pronouns. So you tell this individual that no, you have not understood the Quran. You have not understood the Quran. The Quran is using the plural of majesty for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are issues that some Christians use against Muslims and the Muslims cannot answer. So we tell them, look, this verse you have cited, you have not gotten it. Read the verses that are clearer. Where Allah says, Qul wallahu ahad, Allahu samad. Say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. Allahu samad is the eternally besought of all, and stuff like that. So when people want to cherry pick verses of the Quran and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, you take them back to the categorical verses of the Quran and categorical hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and then you remove the problem and the shubhat. Still have a lot of things to say, but I will pause here and take questions if there are any. I hope the little I've been able to say will be sufficient to protect us from shubhat that threatens our faith, especially in environments that these shubhat are prevalent and basically everywhere. May Allah SWT preserve our faith and preserve the faith of our children. Inna walidhalika wal qadru alayhi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Say Jazakumullah khairan to our Ustad. May Allah make it beneficial knowledge for us here and in the hereafter. Amen. And may Allah count it amongst your good deeds. Amen. Inshallah, we already have some questions in. But before we would go to the questions, for the benefit of those who joined us after the program had already commenced, we announced at the very beginning that today is a big day for the companion, in that our National Director of Dawah, who is the chairman of the National Hajj Commission, is being hosted by Muswen, and key members of the companions, including the National Amir, including the Amir for Lagos, are all at this event. And that is why I am the host today. That is number one. Number two, I want you to join me in praying for the repose of the soul of the father of our guest lecturer, Ustad Kabir Al-Asfar, for his father died about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Allah accept his return, admit him into the company of the righteous, widen his grave, and raise him amongst the righteous. Amen. Number 3, we do have some announcements which our public relations officer is going to make in a minute. 8 a.m. Please get ready to make these announcements. But just before that, I'll just mention 5 key points that the lecturer mentioned in the course of his lecture. Number 1, that more and more people are having doubts about their deen, and that we have known people to leave Islam because of the atrocities of the likes of Boko Haram, thinking that any religion which could be the basis for this kind of action cannot be something which is acceptable to Allah. Number 2, that a Yoruba person in his 50s or 60s who is still in doubt about his faith will be more likely to become a Christian or an idol worshiper, whereas those of the younger generation will be likely to become atheists, i.e. younger Muslims. Number three, that nowadays everything is questionable. Muslims ask all sorts of questions, even about things that you ordinarily should not ask question, and that we have seen an example of somebody who attended the famous Morikas and then became a Christian to show how much people are in doubt of their faith. Our lecturer identifies the erosion of sound Islamic education as a major factor in this development. And finally, he admonishes us to acquire such sound Islamic education which engenders critical thinking in us, such that we would not accept anything for which people do not have evidence and sound evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah. These were some of the key points made in the course of the lecture. At this point, we are going to go to our announcements, and thereafter we will take some of the questions that we already have. So I call upon the PRO to please let us have today's announcements.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for another wonderful session. We pray that He reward our lecturer abundantly, both in this world and in the hereafter. And may He equally reward each and every one of us who has participated in this program, in this world and in the hereafter. Amen. Inshallah, we have about three major information for us. First of the three is our weekly Uzura. And just like we're having our monthly joint Uzura right now, we usually have our weekly Uzura too at our various zones. Right now, we have 8 functioning zones across Lagos State. We have Lekki zone, we have Ikorodu Uzura, we have Agege Uzura, we have Okoba Uzura and Surulere, Ketu, Ojota, Alimosho, and the last on the list is Akute. So the Uzura at these venues, at these zones, hold between the hours of 8 and 11 a.m. Some 8 to 10 and some 9 to 11, except that of Lekki that holds immediately after Salat Subh. So for more detail on this Uzura, their location and some other detail you might need, so you can contact the PRO via call or WhatsApp or text message on this line 081 034 874 55. Again, 081 034 874 55. Secondly, is our weekly release, which is tagged the Nezos. The Nezos is a release of our past lectures. Just like we have these lectures, like this today's lecture, it is recorded, and very soon, inshallah, the video record will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. That is the Companion Lagos District YouTube channel. So every week we send out the link to these lectures. So we have lectures from 2011 to 2020 right now on our YouTube channel. So, and we have started releasing the links to this lecture since last week. This last Friday was the second release. So inshallah, the next week we are also going to release another link for another lecture. So we would like that each and every one of us, whether we're part of these lectures when they were held or not, we would like that we watch these lectures and send the link to others to also benefit from them. So as we know that whoever you send the links to and benefit from that, from those lectures, you are also going to earn a very huge reward from Allah for doing so. And likewise, we would like that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you also turn on your notification, so such that whenever we upload any lecture or we have anything new we would like you to get informed about, you can always be notified. And this particular lecture as well, like I posted in the chat room, was also is also live on YouTube as we speak. And as part of the Nexus release is also a quiz that has one or two questions about the lecture whose link was sent.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
And the
barakatuh.
first three correct always given prizes. So and lastly is the criterion.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa
I
alaikum
think
assalam, sir.
Afwan, I think we should move on to the Q&A, partly because your voice breaks now and again, but also because I am seeing the number of participants reducing the longer the announcements go on, and I don't want us to lose our audience. Inshallah, any additional questions, any additional announcements we'll make at the end. Ustaz Abdul Kabir, I already have some questions here, although I should warn our audience that the lecturer is not an expert on everything, because I can already see questions on areas like cryptocurrency and then stuff like that. If he's able to, he would answer them. If not, then we'll see what we can do. So the first question, Ustaz Al-Asfar, what advice would you give to a Muslim who sustained a fracture in an accident and he was taken to a traditional orthopedic healer? Now, he was told he must buy 2 hens, akuko meji, to be slaughtered as part of the healing process. What should the person do? Should they buy this hen, or what do they do? That's the first question. Bismillah.
Now, in this circumstance, they should not slaughter this hen, because in traditional settings of this nature, when you talk about slaughtering animals, there's something fetish behind it. Then it is also not advisable to patronize this traditional healers. I don't know if there's a medical doctor in the house. They used to condemn these because some of the fractures people sustain may not just be a bone fracture. It may affect soft tissue, which they are not trained to handle, and so it becomes complicated. And then I've had a friend who lost his life. He had a car accident, and they assume it was a fracture, not knowing that it has affected his internal organs. So let's go to those who are specialists to attend to our fractures. So as to the slaughtering of the end for anything to make the bone ill, we should not participate in the slaughtering. Wallahu alam.
Jazakumullahu khairan. I think that is simple and straightforward enough. The next question: can we send our child to participate in Ijade, i.e., what do they call them again? It escapes me. The people who go on Ijade, please add it, what they call them to your question. And then what can a parent do if they want to, if they have a child who insists on going on Ijade?
Ijade there's no how do I put it? It's not something that gives people knowledge. It's going out to do dawah, and then a lot of times these people who go on this outing themselves are, so to say, ignorant of even some of the basics of the deen. They memorize about 6 points, everything comes from Allah and stuff like that, and then they say we should go out and then go and preach this. One is knowledge, one is to sit down. If I'm a parent and my child wants to go for a jadi, I will not allow him. That's just the blunt truth. For what do they want to achieve with the jadi? Just go and preach. And then in circumstances that are at times very, very unhealthy for a child, if it's a young child. We want people to learn, not to go on the jadi and then not acquire anything when they come back after 4 months. And then by virtue of them going out, they become one big sheikh. Then when you ask them basic ruling of the deen, they don't know. So Ijade is not a school, it's not a place of learning, it's just sort of religious adventure. Let the child learn in a madrasa where the child will actually be acquiring knowledge. And at times these people would be denigrating Islamic knowledge. You say that, but Shaitan became arrogant because of knowledge. I mean, this totally, and that's why, because it's based on ignorance, it's at variance with what Islam preaches. Islam cherishes the acquisition of knowledge. The fact that it's compulsory on us to know what we are doing. The jihad does not make us acquire it. So no, church should not go on the jihad. Church should go to a madrasa where they teach them aspect of the deen, and then we buy books for them, buy Islamic books for them, let them have a culture of reading and buy these books for them, take them to lectures. In fact, going to a lecture where they're going to teach topical issues that are important to that child's life, one lecture of such that this lecture will have an impact on that child's spiritual life is better than 40 days Ijadi. And I'm not exaggerating, because there you have khurafat, myths and things being spread around. So don't.
But how was Saudi like?
I didn't get that.
No, I think that was an unintended.
Okay.
I think that was an unintended
interjection. Okay, so I don't agree with people going on Ijadi. Allah.
Okay, Jazakumullah khairan. Allow me to make this key announcement before we take the next question. Our sister organization, the Criterion, will inshallah be having their 2021 annual seminar on Sunday, the 14th of February, 2021. That is next Sunday, inshallah. The theme of it is adjusting to the new world order, the role of the Muslim Ummah. And then we have amongst our lecturers, Dr. Adeboyega A. Karim, who is an expert on security, Professor Fatima Biade Abdul Karim, and it's going to be an online session starting at 10 a.m. next Sunday, inshallah. Please let us look out for further information on this. And on that note, we'll move on to our next question, which is this. Please, what is the Islamic perspective on cryptocurrency as people are looking for legitimate form of extra income? The Islamic perspective on cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so on cryptocurrency and stuff, this is a new thing. It's relatively new. People wanted currency that will not be controlled by state players. So, and then this Japanese guy, or whatever his name is, Sakamoto or whatever, drew up a paper and the people worked on it. So Bitcoin and its attendant technology, blockchain technology, became something that scholars differed on. So we have some scholars who say it is haram, and then they have reasons for calling it haram. Some said because it can be used for money laundering, it's not legal tender and stuff like that. And we have scholars also who say it is halal. That you don't, when it comes to legal tender, it's what the community actually agrees on that that becomes money. So if we agree that this bottle should become legal tender amongst us, then it becomes money. This is the view of Imam Malik. And then they said, okay, if you're saying that Bitcoin can be used for money laundering, dollars also is used for money laundering. Does that make the dollar haram? Some said that it has no backing, that Bitcoin has no backing. It's just peer-to-peer but the paper money also has no backing, and people seem to believe that paper money is still backed up with the gold silver standard. No, that was ages ago. After Bretton Woods, paper money is fiat money. So anyway, scholars are divided into two. Those who say it is haram, those who say it is halal. However, the same position is to say that the rule should be dependent on the community one is in. So if the government of the day accepts Bitcoin as legal tender, then it should become legal tender. And for a long time, I was telling people that it was, as far as I'm concerned, it was halal, because the Security Exchange Commission had an announcement, which I read, that they deemed Bitcoin to be security. And if something is security, you can trade in securities. I mean, the line between securities and currency is free. The Messenger of Allah, the gold that was used for as currency was also used to barter. So based on this, I will tell you that look, it's, as far as I'm concerned, because of what the Security Exchange Commission has said, is halal. But some days ago, probably a day or two ago, the central bank came out with an announcement that banks should not deal with it, and like a ban, really. So that has sort of complicated things. And my attitude to people is that look, with the CBN coming out with this pronouncement now, we should just hands off and then wait till we have a clear picture of what the government is saying. But in communities, like as I've heard, like in Germany and some other places, this thing has become legal tender, that people exchange the way they exchange money, even if there are some regulations. In such communities that has become legal tender, then it is halal in such communities. But in our own, that we are still a bit confused, let us wait and see what the government position is going to be before we take the decision. And that is my personal view on it. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakumullahu khairan. And I think all of us actually do have an obligation to speak to with our teachers and then scholars. And however, the key point made by the Ustad is that with the central bank having now banned it more or less by saying all banks that have a cryptocurrency account should close them, then it becomes illegal, I imagine, to trade in them in Nigeria. Subsequently. Jazakumullahu khairan. Before the next question, this is for members of the companion. The next National Executive Council meeting of the companion will hold on the 27th of February. It will be a virtual meeting. Let members please look out for further details on the platform. Now to the next question. I don't know if you mentioned the name Aqidatul Wasitiyya in the course of your lecture, but somebody writes here that this treats Allah's names and attributes. That can you list books that strictly treat Tawheed Rububiyyah and Tawheed Ibadah? That's the question. Books on Tawheed Rububiyyah and Tawheed Ibadah.
Yeah. Tawheed al-Aqidah al-Wasitiyya is not restricted to Asma wa Sifat alone, though it takes a central space in the book, but it's not really, it's not that alone. It even covers beyond Allah. It talks about other things like the Hisab and stuff like that. So, but if you want a more comprehensive book, read the Shadow of Al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyya by Ibn Abi Izz al-Hanafi. Sharh al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyya by Ibn Abi Izz al-Hanafi. So he talked about some of these issues, even about Rububiyyah in his issues. Because for a lot of Muslim scholars, and also the Quran, atheism is not something that was prominent. The Quran presupposes, I mean, the people the Messenger of Allah was discussing with, the people who believe that Allah existed, but rather they believe that the lesser gods, Hubal, Al-Uzza, and stuff like that, also deserve to be worshipped. So that by worshiping them, they can go close. I mean, very similar to Yoruba belief. Yoruba believes that there's Olodumare, who is the central deity who created everything. You know, they believe that he created the Orishas. And they believe that, I read in a book of Professor Wande Amibola, that Yorubas do not give sacrifices to Olodumare. And also, you see, in our society, they don't put a sacrifice somewhere and say that this sacrifice is meant for Olodumare. No, they believe it's up there, but they need to placate the Orishas to get earthly favors. Just like this was very similar to the Meccans, the way the Meccans did their stuff. So, there is no emphasis much on Rububiyyah in quite some of our Aqidah books. But yes, at the same time, they covered it. Al-Tahawiyya covers this sufficiently. And books of Sheikh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, though this may be advanced books of Ibn Taymiyyah, where he addresses some of these objections. I think in As-Safadiyya. These are very, very technical works. I think also I read one recently. We were talking about that the world was created. It was refuted who held that the world was eternal. So anyway, it will bring some of these arguments that has to do with Rububiyyah in it. For Tawheed al-Ibadah, the best book you can have is Kitab al-Tawheed of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. This also is not is Tawheed Ibadah takes the largest chunk of the book, but there are also other aspects of Tawheed also. And then one of the easiest sharh is the sharh of Ibn Uthaymeen. So if you get these books, you find what is sufficient, inshallah. Allah.
Jazakumullahu khairan. I wouldn't know if we have any further announcements from the Public Relations Office, i.e., in addition to the ones we've already made, as our time is coming to an end. This program, we intend to stop it or end it at 1 o'clock, inshallah. So, PRO, any further announcements?
No, sir.
Okay, Jazakumullahu khairan. I think we are going to draw the curtains on this program today. Thank you very much to all 70-something people of you who have kindly joined us. Please, let's look forward to another session this time next month, first Sunday of every month. New topic, new lecturer, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.